Hello, magical people, and welcome back to my channel. I am going to be making a video today kind of about my first week at home with the baby and how that went for us. And I also apologize that I sound a little crazy. I'm getting over like a 2-week long cold thing. So my voice is almost back to normal, but not quite. Elliott was born on a Wednesday and we got released from the hospital on Friday. So typically you would then have your first pediatrician's appointment the next day, but because it was the weekend, they weren't open. So ours was on Monday. So I went 2 days still trying to figure out, well, really everything, but like especially the breastfeeding. I was really struggling, but I didn't really know it yet. Like I didn't know how bad it was. And they had said, we think he has a tongue tie, but you have to have your pediatrician check it out and then she'll tell you like the next step. So I went another 2 days breastfeeding with his extreme tongue tie, and he had a lip tie. And so my boobs were wrecked and bleeding, cracked. I had all the things, and if I put my nipple cream on to try and make it better, they stuck to my shirt or my bra, so then I had to basically rip them off. So it was bad. It was real bad. But on the flip coin, Elliot was sleeping like 4 to 5 hour stretches. So I was getting a moderate amount of sleep. But then you're nervous because you're like, is that normal? Turns out for my kids, super normal. Because now I think by like week 4, he slept through the night. So I had a bassinet next to my bed, and I basically had my bedroom set up as like everything I needed, so I didn't really have to go anywhere because my stitches were like pretty severe. I had stage 3 and 4 tears. So 4 is the worst you can get if you don't know. So I couldn't move a lot very well, and like getting out of bed was a struggle. So I had a bassinet next to the bed, and I used that until he moved into his room, and that made it so much easier to kind of keep an eye on him and kind of keep my nervousness down so I could see how he was doing. So those first few nights were quite a struggle. Basically because I still was trying to breastfeed and I wasn't trying to give formula, and he just wasn't getting it. Like he wasn't getting enough food from me, so we ended up having to formula feed. And she said, the lactation consultant said, if you're formula feeding, what you do is you stick your pinky in his mouth until he's sucking on it, and then you have like this little tiny syringe that you like feed the formula in while he's sucking. I was not talented enough to do this by myself. I had to have Joe's help to do this every time, because in order to hold him and have him sucking on a pinky, then I had 2 hands that were taken. So then he would be the syringe person. So we had to feed him like that, for the next few days. And then when we got to the pediatrician's office on Monday, she said that, he was almost at the point where he had lost too much weight, but he was like right on that line. And so she was like, just keep up what you're doing. You're not doing anything wrong. She gave us some breastfeeding tips. She noticed his tongue tie. So she said, what I want you to do is for Tuesday, make an appointment for the tongue tie to be fixed. Wednesday, see your lactation consultant now that he has the tongue tie fixed, and she can help you kind of relearn, like now that he's supposed to be better. And then Thursday, I want you to come back so that I can check him and make sure that he's gaining weight again. So if you don't know, getting out of the house, A, is incredibly difficult with a newborn, but B, incredibly difficult when you're also still so fresh postpartum. So we basically took a duffel bag everywhere we went and had all the things. Um, but it was fine. So um, he was, I don't even remember how much he had lost, but I think it was like, because he was born 8'6", and I think he was like 6 something. So they were concerned, and but she still wanted me to breastfeed. She still didn't want me to introduce a nipple to him. She still didn't want me to introduce a pacifier to him. So we continued to do what we were doing, and then we went and saw the tongue tie guy, and he took care of it, and he was wonderful. But it was like hard for me to watch my kid go through that, but it was 10 times harder for Joe. He was like pacing around the room like a crazy person, and on top of that, the place that we had to go so that we could get an appointment next day was downtown. So we had to drive to downtown Atlanta when our baby was like 4 days old or something like that. So it was really stressful. And then we were in a place we didn't know. We didn't know this office. We didn't know where we were going. And it's like, do we need to take the stroller? You know, it's tough. So then we made an appointment the next day for my lactation consultant, and he fed from me, and then she weighed him. Well, she weighed him first to see what he was at, and then she fed for me, and then she weighed him again because she said his latch and everything looks great and that we were doing everything that we were supposed to, but he like barely got an ounce from me. And that was kind of the first sign that like, oh, well. So then she says to me that I need to start pumping after every single feed so that I can kind of increase my supply, which is already a lot. Like, you feed so often with a newborn. We were at about every 3 hours, except during the night when it was like a 5-hour stent. And so then you add on 20 minutes of pumping, because she wanted me to do 10 per side. And so, but when I was breastfeeding him at this point in time, he's sleepy fed. So he would like suck like 4 times and then kind of fall asleep. And I'd have to like do all this stuff to wake him up again. Then he'd do it again. Then we'd fall asleep. So the whole process for just to breastfeed takes 2 hours. And then by the time you're done, he needs it again. And it was almost never ending. And it got really tough. And it got really tough for me to just formula feed, even to supplement, because it's like, you kind of feel like as a mom, like, what am I doing wrong? You know, what's wrong with me? Because it's not his fault. It's got to be my fault. So it was pretty tough. And then your hormones are crazy. You're sore. You're not knowing what you're doing. Everything's kind of wild. So it's definitely tough. And then the next day when we went and saw our pediatrician again, he had gained like 2 ounces. And so she was like, great, you're doing it. You know, he's getting there. And she, you know, said all the same things, like, you know, keep going, keep trying. So then she did say, though, now that we're supplementing, you know, every feed because he's not getting what he wants from me, we started introducing the bottle to him, which he took to very well. It did not cause nipple confusion for my baby. He really had no problem switching from one to the other. The biggest thing, though, is on a bottle, he would feed, and it would be like 15 minutes, versus if it was on me, it would be like 2 hours. You know, I mean, it was a long process, and I would try both boobs, you know, and all this stuff, and it was just kind of arduous because you're trying to do all this stuff, you're trying to take care of them, but you're basically stuck in this chair for hours on end every day. But luckily Joe was home, so he had about 3 weeks off with us, the first week basically being the week in the hospital. And so then he had 2 weeks with us when we were home, which was really nice. And then my mom came in at the end of that second week to kind of like take over from Joe because he was starting a new job. But Elliott threw some curveballs in. So the 2 nights before Joe had to start his new job, Elliott was basically up from midnight to 6 a.m. the whole night because I still, at the, we're, 3 weeks in just about, I still wasn't like, yay, formula, let's, do that. I was like fighting it tooth and nail. And so then I still, I would finally, at like 6 a.m., Joe was like, you haven't come to bed. I know something's wrong. And he would come in and help. My mom was here, but she was having some issues, so she could not stay up with us and help during those times. So Joe ended up getting up and helping, and I felt so bad because it's like, you work tomorrow at a brand new job that you're gonna go in newborn already, makes your life a little crazy, and then you're gonna go in and be like, oh, I've been up all night almost, off and on. He was like, I think I got like 4 hours of sleep, and I felt so bad because I needed him. I mean, was trying to be tough and be like, yeah, I can do this all on my own. I don't need anybody, but it was like, no, I needed him. Like, I'm pretty sure if I didn't have Joe on those nights, I would have just been crying on the floor because, like, I was almost at that point where I was like, I don't know what else to do. And Joe was always the one. He would come and be like, give him a bottle. Like, that's what he needs. And I'd be like, okay, fine. But me, on my own, I'd never give in to that impulse. But with Joe, he would say it, and I'd be like, yeah, you're right. That's what he needs. But it was just so hard to give that up. And so now he is 3 months old. He turned 3 months old on Christmas Day. And I stopped breastfeeding about a week ago. I did everything they said. I would wake up during the night. I would pump. I tried Geek. I tried, which is a supplement. I've tried teas. I've fed him like all day, every day. But I just never produced enough for him. Because, I mean, at 2.5 weeks old, he was already eating a 4-ounce bottle, which is double what a baby his size is supposed to be eating. And now at 3 weeks old, most of his bottles are 6 ounces, which is, again, over. He's supposed to be at 4 ounces. So, he's just, he's an eater, and that's fine. He's healthy, he's happy, and I've kind of gotten over that. And so I just want to say to other moms out there, like, don't be so hard on yourself if it's not happening. It doesn't happen for every person. I wish it had happened. I wanted it so, so bad. But if he's happy and healthy and fed, then that's all that matters. You really shouldn't be, I felt pressured by so many things, and some of them being sources that weren't even pressuring me. It was just like the media, and it's like, so we got to the end towards there, and I was breastfeeding him, but he wasn't getting enough, and he would get frustrated and like bite down on my nipple harder, or like shake his head from side to side and do all this stuff, and it was like abusing my nipples. So I stopped, and it was sad because I was like, my minimum goal was 6 months, but I did everything I could, and trying to pump and breastfeed and make bottles takes up 90% of your day, and you just don't have time for that. I mean, I didn't. I needed to do laundry. I needed to be able to make his bottles. Just that whole production takes so much time. So that's kind of my beginning couple of weeks. It was hard. It was tough. You don't sleep a lot. You're worried a lot. You're sore, but it gets better. And everybody kept telling me that, and I kind of wanted to be like, yeah, BS, because this is, I feel like I'm stuck in this rut. But now Elliot sleeps through the night. We finally take naps during the day. That we didn't take naps during the day until a couple weeks ago. And he smiles at me and he laughs, and it's just so rewarding now. Like every little thing right now, it just feels like a present because he's just so amazing and he's so happy, and it's wonderful. So, uh, I was that person who was ready to give up on so many things, and now I'm like, you know, and I would say I never really got postpartum depression. I got baby blues for sure, because it's like you just feel inadequate sometimes, and like, but it's just so new and everything changes. And I say, now that I'm kind of over that, like, newborn days, it definitely gets better, and it's so worth it, because like now, once you get that first smile, and it not like the sleepy smiles, like the first smile at you, it's magical. So that's kind of my little story. Sorry it took so long to film this, but life with a baby, you never know. And with him not napping, it wasn't like I could be like, oh, it's 11 o'clock. I'm going to film because he's sleeping. And it'd be like, I don't know when he's going to sleep or what he's going to do. So anyway, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you all have a magical day and Happy New Year. Sending my love to everyone out there. Bye.